Open Your Eyes is brought to you by the Belize Bank, our country, your bank, and Smart, bringing people together.
Live from the GBM studios in Belize City, it's Open Your Eyes. Start your morning right with your hosts, Sabrina Daly and Isani Caetano.
Good morning and welcome to Open Your Eyes.
Start your morning right.
I'm Sabrina Daly.
And I am Isani Caetano. Good morning. Good morning.
And good morning, Isani. Let's jump straight into our show lineup and, of course, what you can expect in conversations this morning. Starting off with protecting Placencia, Lagoon awareness in action. Also, we'll be talking about building a culture of reading and community. Also on the list, driving change inside Belize's Compass ride-sharing app. And our host debate this morning, and the hot topic is, does the exclusion of women or Garifuna/Mayan leaders on the new banknotes reflect systemic bias? Hi, Sonny, how you doing?
I'm good. Still
Good?
trying to, recover.
Yeah, like I'm good. You know how it is. You know how it be.
It's been a, interesting few days.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to, settle my mind, but we're already halfway through the week, so I don't know how it's going to work.
Yeah.
But yeah, so far so good, man. Life is great.
It is hump day, and I was just telling you that it feels like the week is going so slowly but so quickly at the same time. Simultaneously. I don't know whether to be excited or like, let's wrap it up.
You know what it is for me?
Uh-huh.
It's the fact that the extended weekend
Yes.
was a mix of work and play for me, and so it probably threw off my clock. So I feel as if though the week has been longer because I've been working a lot longer, and I guess that's what it is.
And you did have quite an interesting weekend indeed. I know that you were out on the ocean covering a fantastic story that was aired last night, but it was definitely not play. And you usually enjoy the sea, but this time it was all work.
Yeah, but I tell you this much though, right? This past weekend was sort of a southern tour for me. There was Hopkins Day.
Yes.
And then I had an event down in Independence.
You went to Hopkins Day?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then, Rick and I went out to Glover's Reef. We'll talk about that a bit more in our next segment. But yes, so it's work and play, right? But for the past few days, it's been way more work than play. So it kind of threw off my leave balance, right? But
Yeah.
I'm not complaining.
Well,
all is well.
soon you'll be able to rest. And we do have some topics that we think you guys should know before you leave your homes this morning. And as Isani mentioned, one of them includes what his trip was like over the weekend.
All right, so here we go. These are the 5 things you need to know before you leave your house this morning. The BTS transition draws strong public reaction over data privacy. Hooked on sharks, Belize tags along for conservation. Narco ranches push into Belize's forests. The State Department may require U.S. visa applicants to post thousands of dollars in bonds, right? And last but not least, the show that's most talked about this summer, KTV, The Remix. All right, so it was a full house last night with gospel. We're going to get into all of those conversations. So, to the assignment that Rick and I produced or pulled off over the weekend was quite an interesting one. I'm sunburnt as hell.
I know, I didn't even think Isani could sunburn, but it's there.
But it's quite an interesting one because, I've been to Glover's Reef before.
Yeah.
To do coverage on marine environment and ecology and that sort of stuff. But this one, was
a little bit more daring.
Yeah, like tough, right? So here we go. This is just on background, right? I've never been seasick 3 times in one morning.
Really? Oh my gosh, tell me more.
So here's the thing, right? So we joined a team of divers who headed out to sea. This is within the Glover's Reef atoll, right? And that's high seas pretty much, right?
Yes.
So for them, it's normal to have the boat just idling in the water while they descend and do their work. So this is research being done with respect of tracking sharks and what have you, right? Sharks being very, very important to our marine environment, our ecosystem, sorry. And so while they're there, they're doing their dives, setting down the trackers and stuff. Rick and I are just in the boat, right? But
On choppy waters.
This is a 24-foot skiff.
Yeah.
It's not one of those like catamarans or big boats that could handle the rollers, right? And so I'm just there. One spell, I just felt like I was overheating. So I started taking off clothes.
No.
Then I realized it wasn't really that. It was the fact I was getting seasick, right?
Oh
but
my gosh.
we had 3 different locations where we had to accompany them to put down the trackers. So in motion, you feel fine, right? Everything is all well. When we stop and then they go into the water, we're just there and these big waves just...
And how long are you there, just idling while they're collecting
about
data?
like a half an hour or so.
Oh man.
And so yeah, that was rough. I mean, I've been able to handle going out beyond the reef before, but this one, because of the nature of it, you know, it took some serious getting used to. But aside from that, right?
Yes, I think there's an important message
there. Yes, the value of this experience is twofold. One, you have a family that is very much invested in marine conservation. I think that is important to highlight because you're looking at generations of fisher folk who have shifted away from shark fishing to shark conservation, right? And this forms sort of like an alternative livelihood, we call it, right? So that's one aspect of it. The other aspect of it is scientific. You're looking at a species of fish where a lot of times people don't put value to sharks.
They're predators. We consider them
apex predators, right?
Yeah.
But we're saying when you hear shark, everybody like. But they're so critical to the marine environment in terms of keeping an ecological balance, right? And so these people are doing scientific research to look at the migration and the patterns of sharks within our waters.
Yeah.
And in talking with Hector Martinez, who's the main diver there, he was telling me that over the past few years, they've noticed Galapagos sharks all the way in Belizean waters, right? And the Galapagos is all the way down South America, near the tip of South America, right? Anyway, so these animals are all over our seas, right? And so they've been able to look at all the 40 species that are native to Belize and all the other species that are passing through. And it's amazing. I mean, among them was a 16-year-old girl who has been PADI certified. She has every certification to do diving, open waters, and what have you. And the passion with which they approach their work, you know, it sort of mirrors the way how I feel about my line of work. But they are so very much invested in it, and it's coming out of a small community in South Stand Creek in Riversdale, right? It's like 108 people live in this village, and all of them, one way or the other, make their livelihood from the sea. Which is on an aside, because we have a Belize Unreal feature that I will, you know, put tomorrow that will look into just that aspect of it. But yes, it's I mean, like, these are the kind of stories that I find enjoyable because it puts us out of what we would consider our normal sphere, covering the day-to-day stuff, right?
I like the way that it also humanizes how these communities really try to take care of their ecosystems as well, because this is what feeds them. It's what puts food on their table, pays their bills, but they also have to protect it for generations after them. And then you can see how the younger generation recognize the value in that as well, as you spoke about that 16-year-old girl. My question is, and I'm sure you'd be able to highlight this, or maybe not in your Belize Unreal, but do other members of the community in Riversdale also see the value in this?
Yes, certainly. And that's the angle from which I'd approach the story for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right? So we're saying that you have generations of fisher folk, because this is a fishing community in the Stan Creek district, as I've mentioned. And so what they've been able to do is fish sustainably, farm sustainably, and that's the order of the day for them,
Yeah.
right? Because what they're trying to do is leave something worthwhile for those who are coming behind.
Yeah.
And when you look at this one particular family where you have at least 3 generations, you're seeing where that knowledge is being handed down, right? You see where that love for sea is their entire thing. That's their story.
Yeah,
right?
amazing. It's a beautiful story. I think it also goes back to the way that Belize has continuously set the pace and be a leader in marine conservation as well. And I think that's just an example from the smaller level to the policy level, the way that we try to protect our marine ecosystems. And so fantastic stuff coming out of Stan Creek, but we do want to move things along, Isani. We have a hot button topic that's definitely been trending on the news, but also online, and it has to do with taxes. The Belize Tax Service in particular, and their transition to an semi-autonomous authority, and what that could mean for not only regular folk, but the public service as well, who are currently working there.
So what we've done since the beginning of the week, we've embarked on a series of poll questions that we're sharing online to kind of gauge public reaction with respect of what's happening with BTS and its transition to SARA. And one of them had to do with data management, if I could use it as such, right? Where the question being asked is, does the public want to be tracked in terms of their financial transactions? Because I think that's one aspect of the whole data management. So when we put that question to our public, there was an overwhelming response that says no. So 1,264 voters participated in the poll, and 92% of those participants
Rejected.
said, "No, we're not upon that." 5% said, okay, perhaps with the proper controls in place, I could see with it. And 3% said, yes, it allows for better management of the system and what have you.
But also,
now, this is non-scientific, right?
Yeah, but before you continue, what would that tracking of your financials look like?
I think the idea, the notion here is that they would be able to look at whatever payment or purchase you're making, right? And so all of that information would be held somewhere. But it could be private transactions that you're doing, right? Perhaps you're, making a purchase of something that you don't need everybody in your business or someone somewhere else in a control room looking at, whatever the case may be.
And this would help.
That's a general idea. I'm not saying that that's exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's just the concerns that are being raised by the public.
But the concept in itself helps the Belize Tax Service in understanding perhaps who should be paying more taxes, essentially?
It's no different, Sab, than when you're handling information that is being communicated or conveyed from one person to another, right? So you might be sending your partner a nice little love note or whatever, right? But the persons who are controlling the medium would be able to look at that. Would you be comfortable? You see what I'm saying? So it's a similar situation where some people perhaps don't really care to have their financial transactions being looked at in that manner. But yes, it's just being put out there for people to understand, or perhaps for people to weigh in as to what they're comfortable with and what have you. I guess with a view of transparency as well.
And that's only one side of the concern as well. There's also concerns coming from the Belize Public Service Union, expressing what they think is kind of like poor, perhaps processes put in place when it comes to the transition, ideally out of the public service unit into this authority, or if they're going to stay in the public service, what type of jobs are they going to be getting? Will it match their pay scale? And so that's a whole other side of the conversation too.
Yes, but the poll questions came out of that conversation that we had with the PSU president on
Yes.
Monday, all right? So those are some questions that I was asking him, and I think he did a fairly thorough job of responding to the questions. So I said, okay, well, why not put it to the public and
Yeah.
have them weigh in on it?
All right. Your thoughts on that? Were you able to engage in the poll? And if so, do you believe that this is something that we should be supporting?
We have another one for today.
Okay.
That we'll be putting out later on in the morning. But yes, it's to engage viewership and public reaction.
And speaking of poll, we do have a poll currently up on our Facebook page, and this is the question this morning. Is your rent more than 30% of your monthly income? Again, I'll repeat that. Is your rent more than 30% of your monthly income? The options are yes, way more, right around 30%, less than 30%, not sure. Now our final topic to jump into, Isani, has to do with none other than KTV The Remix. Last night was gospel night, and I know that every season when we have KTV The Remix, people always look forward to gospel night.
Yes.
It definitely brings out a crowd, and last night was no different. It was a full house, and we definitely saw people take the stage and sing their hearts out. I want to really take a moment to highlight this right here. This was the first group number, Isani, and it was very heartfelt. It was nostalgic. It was an ode to Jenny Lovell, and of course her song that she did with, what was the name of the group? With Frankie Renaud.
I'm trying to remember.
I know, I'm
Just
trying to
get
remember
that
too.
moment.
And I literally did a story on this, but this was such a beautiful performance. We saw there Darren on the piano doing a wonderful job as well. I have to say kudos to the team that helped them put this number together. It was such a beautiful performance.
I'm amazed every time I look at the talent that we have in Belize and the way that we embrace our artists and performers, right? So undoubtedly, out of this cohort of performers, one person will walk away with the grand prize, but several other names and faces would have emerged in the entertainment scene, right? So, gospel is one of those genres where everybody wants to know what song will be performed. And when you look at the judges that were there for last night's competition, you know, even Father Jeremy was among the judges. And when you think about the performances, so Tim didn't make it,
Yes.
right? But his song that he would have performed, or he performed in part, was one of those songs where a lot of us are very much familiar with it. I mean, growing up, and then you hear Sunday music is usually gospel music, and you know, which Bridge to Cross is one of them that's there, prominent, right? So yes, when we're talking about gospel and the fact that you have all of these singers who are choosing these songs, in some cases it's very, very challenging to deliver.
Yeah.
And in one instance, the person who got all 10s and including the 5 points bonus was hoarse. Almost completely hoarse, and was still able to deliver and top everybody else who performed last night. And I want to credit that, because that's a feat in and of itself, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it really speaks to Farah's level of skill that she has consistently showcased, I think, since the start of the season as well. I want to give a big up to Daron as well, though, because he performed an original from his group 501 Genesis, I believe. And so I think that's fantastic. He's clearly a musician and an artist in his own right. He did not get a perfect score, but he definitely was one of the crowd favorites last night. And then, of course, all the other performers who have really evolved since the start of the season too. I think that's what I always look forward to seeing whenever there's a new season of KTV. You get these performers, they come in, they have big dreams of winning that $10,000, but they evolve through the competition as well. You see their development in real time, week after week. I noticed that, of course, with Maureen, she was able to really showcase her skill last night. She sung to me the way that I've seen her develop herself vocally, even the way that she opened her mouth more. the way that you can hear her so clearly. And I think this was also credited by Marlon, who was also in replace of Andazi last night. She spoke about the way that she's seen this particular contestant evolve since, many years before. When I say you're true to this, not new to this, that's a perfect example right there. And so I'm just so proud of them. I think whoever walks away with the $10,000, great, you got the grand prize, but ultimately everyone will be walking away with some level of development from this competition. And also some fans too. I mean, last night, you could not scroll without seeing someone talking about KTV last night.
Man.
And so I'm really proud of that too.
I heard that even Chester Williams got into the
I know.
Interesting.
Oh, good, Chester had thoughts too. But that does it for some of the things we think you should know. We also want to remind you that it's time to now vote for your favorite. And as the week progresses and we get closer and closer to the end of the competition, this is where it's more critical than ever to vote for your favorite contestant. That's how they stay in the game. That's how they stay in the competition and get 1 week closer to that $10,000. So please vote for them. All right, moving things along, Isani, we do have a weather update to give. And so let's jump into our Eye on the Weather, courtesy of the folks from the National Meteorological Service. Alrighty, let's jump into our weather forecast. Today's weather calls for sunny with some cloudy spells and partly cloudy skies tonight. Showers and thunderstorms will be generally isolated with a medium chance for a few more developing over inland areas today and over the south tonight. Moving things along, today's temperatures calls for 87 degrees Fahrenheit along coastal areas with 80 degrees for the lows. Inland will be warmer with a high of 92 and a low of 73. But in the hills, it looks like it's going to be a little bit chillier with a low of 68 degrees Fahrenheit, but a high of 81. Moving things along, our extended forecast calls for 88 degrees Fahrenheit inland areas and a high of 93 in the hills, but a low of 73 as well. For Friday, similar temperatures as well. Inland areas will be getting highs of 89 degrees Fahrenheit, but in the hills will be as high as 94. Inland, that is, will be getting highs of 94 and lows of 74. And closer to the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, we'll be calling for warmer temperatures with highs as high as 95, but lows as low as 73. Our astronomical forecast. The sun rose this morning at 5:33 a.m. and is set to set at 6:23 p.m. The moon will rise at 4:37 p.m. and is set to set at 3:48 a.m. Our marine conditions. The sea state will be moderate with winds blowing from east to northeast at 10 to 20 knots. Today's high tide will be at 7:21 a.m. and a low at 3:13 p.m. However, another high today will take place at 9:17 p.m. and tomorrow another low at 1:45 a.m. And that does it for our Eye on the Weather. Isani, back to you.
All right, guys, when we return from our commercial break, it's all about protecting Placencia, Lagoon awareness in action. Stay tuned.
Oh man, one more scroll and my data is done.
Wait, who said anything about running out? Smart just dropped a more powerful plan that now includes social media data so you can scroll till your fingers cramp.
Enjoy free social media data now included in our Flex Choice and Select postpaid plans.
Visit any Smart showroom to sign up today because connectivity just got even better. Smart, bringing people together.
Welcome to Design Depot, where you'll find premium quality products from trusted brands, all in one place. Visit us today for quality products, expert service, and the brands you trust. Design Depot, all in one place. Easy. Accessible. Safe. Yours. Digi Wallet. Easy, accessible, safe, yours.
We at Fulltech Systems understand that technology isn't just a tool, it's a game changer. At home, smart devices and AI are revolutionizing daily life. In education, tech is making learning more interactive and accessible for students and educators alike. For businesses and government, it's driving innovation, streamlining operations, and unlocking growth, leveraging tech for better services, infrastructure, and security. At Fulltech Systems, we help you thrive with cutting-edge solutions, partnering with leaders like Dell, HP, Microsoft, APC, Fortinet, Cisco, and Tomy. We deliver the right products for your needs, whether it's boosting efficiency, improving customer engagement, or scaling operations. Connect with us and let's drive innovation together. Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you come for the price, but stay for the service.
And welcome back. Our first conversation this morning, we have been joined by Ian Yearwood. He is the waste creator from Barefoot Services. Good morning, Ian.
Thank you. Good morning.
And he's joined by Dr. Marissa Tellez. She's a collaborator along with the Crocodile Research Coalition.
Yes.
Good morning, Dr.
Good morning.
Tellez.
Good morning.
So we're talking about protecting Placencia. We're talking about Lagoon awareness. And there's an upcoming race that is taking place. Am I correct?
Actually, the race had happened already.
Okay, so it's in our past.
It's in our past.
Fair enough.
Here to
Let's talk about that particular event and how that went, and then perhaps we could transition into crocodile research and other aspects.
Sure. Well, the race is called Battle of the Paddles. It's actually got created because we consider we needed to bring some highlight to the Placencia Lagoon, which is a very fragile ecosystem. We're Battle of the Paddles, a race for the environment. That's what the race has been called. It was held on Sunday. There were some highlights as regards to in regards to the racing community, the local community about the race. But we do realize that we could have put in a little bit more. It's the first of its kind in that area. So,
what was the race primarily to raise awareness of, and then the participation in this initiative? You can awareness.
Yeah. So, as Ian had mentioned, is that the Placencia Lagoon, it is a fragile ecosystem, and it's, in a sense, for a very long time, was one of the last hot spots of biodiversity. But the Placencia Lagoon, it is facing a lot of development, and unfortunately what we're seeing is, as a conservationist, I do understand development, and we can do this sustainably so communities and nature can both thrive. But right now, Placencia Lagoon is under threat in regards of unsustainable development. We're seeing a lot of the seagrass beds disappear, which is going to affect the manatee. And Placencia Lagoon is a big breeding and feeding ground for manatee. We also have the critically endangered American crocodile there, and with the dredging, they're starting to lose their food. That can increase conflict. And so this particular race is to bring awareness about the Placencia Lagoon, because it's also not just about the preservation of nature and wildlife of the lagoon, but it's also the preservation of culture. Conservation is not just about wildlife, it is about people. And so this Placencia Lagoon Battle of the Paddles, it was to bring awareness about the beauty of what we have. So many people come to Belize, come to Placencia, because we have something that they have destroyed in their countries or where they're coming from. They want to reconnect with nature. We have something so special here. And so it was to really highlight that and really get people to build that pride and stewardship to protect what we have before it's too late.
It's so interesting that we're having this conversation, because just a few moments ago, earlier in the start of the show, we were speaking about a story that was done in Riversdale in Stan Creek, where families there are trying to protect sharks who play or that play a big part in the ecosystem there as well. When it comes to Placencia and the people in Placencia understanding and recognizing the importance of protecting what they have there, what does that look like?
So we are a fair mixture of and diverse community, like most of Belize, right? But Placencia over the years have been one of those faster developed area along the coast. So we have a lot of development in regards to infrastructural development, tourism, building, and we have a well-based local community. You're familiar with Sienbite and Placencia. We have beautiful traditional villages in that area. So we coexist quite well together, but over the last, I'd say maybe 10 years or so, there have been an increased amount of development that we have been accepting. Like Marissa had mentioned, we want development, but it has to be sustainable. Our Placencia Road, for example, is one of those infrastructure that we quite welcomed in. So the public is definitely aware of the development along the roadside, but the lagoon is a different vantage point. It's a different perspective when you're looking at the watershed, when you're looking at the loss of habitat for a lot of the fragile animals in there, and the rate that it's been happening. So that is where I think a lot of the public locally are aware of, but not fully aware of the full impact that it has had.
When you travel along the peninsula, right, you realize, it's clear to be seen, that you have developments on both ends. The sea frontage and of course the lagoon side. But for some reason or the other, it's almost as if though the lagoon side is overlooked in terms of the discussions that should be had where it concerns conservation and what have you. What can be done otherwise to be able to raise awareness among developers, not just necessarily those of us who visit Placencia, but those who are trying to create this perhaps a world-class tourism destination and are not taking into consideration the displacement of the native species that are there?
So the Crocodile Research Coalition, the CRC, I would say maybe about the last year or in 2 years, we have been trying to conduct more research, more outreach with real estate agencies as well as developers. There have now been even some real estate agencies that ask us to come over for their open houses so that we can talk to potential buyers, because it's something where the real estate agents as well as the developers, they may not have all the education as well. So we're trying to educate them so that they can provide that information to potential buyers. But now being able to really interact with potential buyers, we are providing that education. For example, mangroves. Mangroves are beautiful, and in reality that is the Caribbean. This whole thing with the palm trees and the white sandy beaches, that's something that Hollywood created in a sense.
Yeah.
And that's what people are trying to create here. And that's having destruction, not just with nature, but again, this also is the destruction or the loss of culture. And so that's something that we're really trying to provide that education, and also about, again, just the sustainable development. You don't have to wipe out all your mangroves. I get it. You want that beautiful view. How about just leaving some fringe right at the border? Again, it's a little bit of a balance. So that's something that we're trying to educate people, is just trying to provide a balance, and also understanding that how they develop is going to affect the water quality, which is then going to affect you. Channel 5 a couple weeks ago highlighted one of our posts about New River. And again, we were finding emaciated crocodiles turning white and everything like that. And unfortunately, we have started to see that with the crocodiles in Placencia Lagoon.
Can I add to that too as well? So us at Barefoot Services, we are one of the leading tour operators in the South, we like to say. And as a guide, I had found it to be my responsibility as an ambassador, because a lot of the developers that comes here, that eventually become developers, they come as tourists. So normally we're the first one that impacts them, educate them about our environment, about Belize, our culture. And it get lost somewhere between that first vacation, on that vacation high, to dealing with the real estate and the business part of it. Because I do know that a lot of people come in here with that good intention, but are unaware of the little that they do and how much it impacts. And us that have been seeing the change are the ones on the ground that are more aware of it. So I'd like to, as a guide and also as a tour operator, to influence other tour operators to have that discussion with their tourists, that eventually again becomes these developers and investors that comes into the country. So I think the first impact, the first impression is this should be the lasting one.
Yeah, I love, Marissa, the point that you mentioned about the way that this could impact even us as the water that we consume when we talk watersheds as well. Oftentimes we speak about the ecosystems that live within these types of waters, and the animals that will be impacted, but few times we tend to take for granted, because we see the amounts of water that's around us. Oh, we have enough, it's going to be fine. Talk about that, the importance of protecting our watersheds.
So in regards to protecting our watersheds, it is, again, it goes beyond just the animals. It goes on to us, because if there are pollutants, if there are toxins in the water and we're fishing, we're ingesting that we are harming our own bodies. That's like consuming too much alcohol, smoking too much. We are putting toxins and pollutants in our body. Protecting watersheds, it's not just this, animal activist or conservation thing. It all goes back to protecting ourselves and our public health as well. And if you talk with anyone that lives along New River, especially several years ago when the water crisis was really, really bad, I think they can tell you that this, again, went beyond just the animals. This went beyond conservation. This is something about public health. And that's something, the CRC, that we really try to promote. Again, it's just not about the wildlife. It's not about nature. It is about communities, and it is about our public health. And we really do need to protect our watersheds, being conscious about what type of pesticides to use, or try to find something that's a little bit more eco-friendly or sustainable. Being conscious that cutting down all these mangroves, cutting down the littoral forest, cutting down the forest, Mother Nature has a lot of natural water filters per se, such as mangroves. Us cutting down the mangroves, we are increasing the pollutants. We are decreasing water quality. So we need to be conscious, because there's just been such a disconnect between nature and humans. We somehow think that we're above Mother Nature, but look at the world today with climate change, with hurricanes. Mother Nature will always win.
Yes.
So if we can respect her, she's going to respect us as well.
And of course, this was a message that was sent overall through the competition that took place.
Yes, yes. So a few days before, actually the day before the event on Saturday, the Placencia Village Council, who is definitely an active partner involved in this, we did a cleanup, a lagoon cleanup. So there's some hot spots on the lagoon that people from the quays, the developers from these quays, or these constructors, they use different spots in the lagoon for dumping their garbage. And they are, yes, believe it or not, right between the beautiful green mangrove, piles of garbage. And we're talking about years of stocks of garbage that's been used constantly. So we did a cleanup. That was not the first attempt. It will not be the last one. It needs a lot more.
So then let's talk about regulation then, and the enforcement of environmental laws where it concerns dumping refuse into that particular area. How's that been coming along?
Enforcement, like everything else at home, Isani, lacks certain key vital parts, for enforcement of the lagoon. As simple as it is, there's no real management of the lagoon. And that's one of the things that we're working towards, getting the lagoon being a protected area and being managed. So there's no real patrol for illegal fishing, for the dumping of garbage, the destruction of mangrove. There's no real, DOE does not have an office in Placencia. Wow. So they don't see a lot of the dredging and operation, and the fact that they might have a permit, but the practices, there's no one really governing or looking at the everyday practices. And I see it. I mean, I have one right next door. So
there's no true oversight.
It's constant, and it's happening as we speak. No true oversight. So we need more of government or the organization that manages these development to be present. So not just once a month, a stop in and a little visit, consistent. And we raise awareness. Locally, we raise awareness, we make these calls, but to what avail? It still happens.
Let's talk a bit about maintaining the ecological balance within the Placencia Lagoon. So you mentioned it's a natural habitat for the Antillean manatees, correct? As well as the American crocodile.
Jaguar, tapir, we have so many endangered species. There's also some evidence that the Placencia Lagoon is also a pupping ground for bull sharks, maybe other shark species as well. And so it's a very, very important, dolphins.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's not a protected area just yet?
And it's not a protected area. They have been trying since 2010, 2008. And now we do have WWF now has an office in Placencia, and they're really trying to spearhead and trying to get the lagoon protected, because it's really necessary. At this moment, because it's not protected, we don't have the enforcement, we don't have the regulations. There are people that are taking advantage of it. They're coming in, building, dumping, and just destroying the lagoon, because for them, it's all dollars. They're not part of this country. They're not part of this community. They don't care, because once they're done with their development, they're going to go off to the next place and do the exact same thing. And I will say, there was one developer I met a couple years ago. He tried to develop in Costa Rica, and he said, it's too hard. There's too much enforcement, too much regulation. But I found I might be able to get it away, like in Belize, get away with it in Belize. And he came to southern Belize knowing that there would be a lack of enforcement. So there are people taking advantage of this country and the lack of resources.
So for us to appreciate the actual size of the Placencia Lagoon, what are we looking at in terms of perhaps length and width and everything that we can see around it?
Length, it's approximately 14 miles long. From the tip, that's like by Caribbean Way, where you get right in and you start to see the lagoon on the right, to the tip of Placencia. The widest point would be, I'd say a little bit, about 3/4 of a mile across, at the widest point. Very shallow in the first, like the northern part of the lagoon, so grass beds, feeding grounds. I see dolphins, during their mating season, manatee mating during their mating season, mating in that flat. I've actually seen bull sharks in there. Can't say if they're mating or not, but but the fact is, it is a spawning, a breeding ground, and a feeding ground. You know, for a lot of wildlife. But yeah, that's the lagoon.
All right, so let's go back to the competition that took place on Sunday. What was the turnout like, the involvement from the community, and do we feel that this is the start of the movement that's needed to see this be heard?
Oh, so yeah, so we had an amazing turnout. Placencia Village Council, they also had a family day, so we had a lot of families at the pier with the start and the finish. So the community came out, and what was really great was we also had put out Facebook messages about, you know, if you live along the lagoon, go on your dock, go on the boat. There was a particular bar in Maya Beach that opened just for the day because they had closed for slow season, but they opened up just to really get the community out there and get the support out for the participants, but also so that they understand that, you know, this is a community event, but also with that, when it comes to the awareness and the protection of the lagoon, it's just not CRC, it's just not barefoot services. This is, we need the community to support to really protect this area. And so we had 51 participants. Yeah, 51 participants, and it was the amount of the community that came out to support. We're so excited. This was the first one, and we are planning again for next year. I believe it's August 2nd.
Yes.
August 2nd.
Yeah.
We will have a.
It's beautiful too.
Yeah.
I mean, that's clips from Sunday, yes?
Yes.
Wow. So they had to paddle how far?
So this race actually had 4 craft.
Okay.
The racing canoes that you guys are familiar with, most people are familiar with, and sea kayaks, raced from the point, the famous Placencia Point, around the point through Placencia Canal, going north, all the way up to Umaya, north of Maya Beach area.
Yeah.
Turn around for 20 miles.
That's a good distance of paddling.
The other 2 crafts, which you see paddle boards on there, they actually raced and sit on top kayaks, raced around Placencia Key. That's that key right in front of the dock when you're at the tip of Placencia. And the paddle boards did 1 lap around, which is 1.5 miles, and sea kayaks did 2 laps around. So that race happened like about 30 minutes after the first race left.
How did they work around the current? For example, the one standing.
Well,
Oh, I was gonna say, it was like actually pretty flat, and it was just like really, it was a beautiful, wonderful day.
You can see it. I mean,
it was
That looked like
perfect
an
conditions.
insane workout.
It was
killed.
Look at that. That's a lot of upper body movement, and you're barely going anywhere. Wow.
Yeah, it was just perfect conditions. And then I don't know if that last clip or part of that video it showed, but people came out on the boats and were just cheering the participants on. It was a really amazing community event.
Wow.
yeah, nice.
It's beautiful. And of course, this, as we mentioned, was all in an effort to share a deeper message. When we see the level of participants and obviously the people that came out to support them, how are you guys able to spread that message of protecting the lagoon there?
Well, we had a ceremony to start, and even prior to that, it has been highlighted on our Facebook page, the purpose and the reason for us to do this, right? Again, that I guess one of the main reasons we're partnering with CRC and the Village Council, because we've done a lot on Placencia. I mean, you know about the rock issue recently in Placencia, you know, so we go out as community and we not just executing the fact that we're moving rock or cleaning sargasso or just bringing awareness generally. We're literally doers. So I like to think that it's gonna go on for a while. We already have the date set for
next year.
I wanna segue a bit while we have you here with us, Dr. Tejas, to talk about the situation along the New River with the crocodiles, with perhaps the eutrophication of the area. Let's talk about the environmental impact of what's happening there.
So we have been studying New River since about 2017, and we have some samples that have been sent out to the United States to analyze the heavy metals. It did seem for a while that things were starting to get a little bit stable, but just our recent research out on New River is illustrating a different issue. It does look like it's a cocktail mix of just possibly industry effluent as well as pesticides. And it is creating a dangerous cocktail for the aquatic ecosystems there. But again, this is also infecting the communities that live alongside. I know a lot of communities, they say, we don't swim in the rivers anymore. You know, to me, it's really sad to think that you live on a river and you hear these stories of your grandfather, your father fishing and, you know, cooking dinner together, cooking the fish, but you can't do that anymore because of the pollution, because of the lack of education of, you know, just dumping stuff or just going, well, whatever, you know, that's just going to go downriver. It's not going to affect me. You know, how the ego and the selfishness, not understanding how you're affecting your surrounding as well as the communities going further downstream. And in all honesty, when Ian first approached me about this race, my brain went to New River because I don't want that to happen to Placencia Lagoon. And years ago, when everything started happening with New River, at that point, it was Dr. Percival Chow that was in office, and he brought me in and we were talking about everything. And I remember there was a comment like, we can't have this happen all over Belize. You know, we need to understand what is going on New River to prevent this elsewhere. And I mean, I took that very serious. My team took that very serious. And so that's why we've been doing a lot of studies all over the country, trying to get as many samples as possible and then trying to truly understand what toxins we're finding in the water so that we can educate, and hopefully anything that we find could be the start of new laws, new regulations to protect not just nature, but also the communities.
And culture, as you said.
And culture, very much so. And in October, and again, this is where I understood the importance of this paddle race, is that this past October, we found a young crocodile in Placencia Lagoon. On the outside, looked completely healthy. I couldn't understand what had happened. There's no marks of territorial fight or anything. And when we conducted the necropsy and I opened it up, my brain went to New River. Things that I had found in the crocodiles in New River, I was now finding it in a crocodile in Placencia Lagoon. And that to me was just such a red flag and alarm, because that is illustrating that now our waters in Placencia Lagoon are getting to that level of New River. And I think we need to understand, if Placencia is now becoming a hotspot for tourism, and then again, even just for the local communities as well, like, we need to understand before we have a public health crisis similar to what we had in New River. And that's why, you know, Ian and his team did an amazing job just really organizing this whole event. And that's why I was really excited to be partnering up with them so that we could also use this event to highlight the protection of Placencia Lagoon and what we need to do before we get to another New River, because our recent findings from a few weeks ago is illustrating it's actually not getting better.
All right. Well, as we wrap up the conversation, I'll ask if you have any final thoughts you'd like to share with our viewers, any people you'd like to say thank you to.
Certainly. Yeah, there's a lot of people involved, of course, so I'd like to take this time indeed to thank a few people who made this possible. Our major sponsor, first of all, let me thank Dominique Delano for the video and the images that you guys just saw. Definitely, yes, excellent work he did. We had a handful of photographers that were out there. Charles Leslie, Kevin came out to do some pretty much good image that you'll see on our Facebook page. The Ian Anderson Caves Ranch, Hidden Valley, Turtle Inn, Miramar Suites, that's in Placencia, the banks of the Belizean Collection, Belize Tourism Board, actually partnered up with us, Detours, that's Mr. Doyle Gardiner in Placencia, Ewart Tours, PAC, the Protected Area Conservation Trust, was a key partner involved as well, Pranamaya, and WWF. the major. There are a lot more people that had contributed little. The Placencia Village Council, I can't thank them enough for the work that they have done too as well. And Marissa mentioned my team. Barefoot Services is a family-run, family-owned team, and I can't say thank enough to my wife Megs, who's at home tuning in, and my daughter Yaneri, who contributed a lot, especially with the social media and the posts and stuff like that, and getting this race a reality. So for everybody else, names that we have not mentioned, definitely appreciate the fact that you guys contributed some to making this a reality. All right.
Well, that's fantastic, guys. Continue to do great work. We do want to wrap up this conversation with a motivational quote. And so this morning's motivational moment is: define success on your own terms. Achieve it by your own rules and build a life you're proud to live. This comes from Anne Sweeney, and it's a beautiful quote. I think this is perfect after this conversation that we just had. All right, we do got to take a quick break now, but don't go anywhere. When we come back, the conversation switches into building a culture of reading and community.
Of the Mexican Caribbean, a whole spectrum of colors and hues, multi-dimensional cuisine, holographic beaches. The true new era is within you.
Oftentimes it only takes a spark to ignite the fire that burns inside of us. At Galen, we're committed to academic excellence, and our student-centered service is available to all our Eagles. You too can become a Galen Eagle.
Hello, my name is Jarrell Velasquez, and on behalf of Galen University, I would like to extend an invitation for men to come back to school. Young, old, near, far, wherever you are.
It all starts with a question. What if I really could become a Galen Eagle? And suddenly, the answer feels closer than ever. Get your eagle on. Come soar with the Galen Eagles.
My name is Leomar Langzert, and I'm a teacher, and I bank with Belize Bank Independence Branch. What I enjoy is the safety features that the app offers. I have a sense of not having to worry or be concerned about somebody finding my password and username to sign in the application because of the use of the one-time password. And another feature that I love, that I use the most, is how the app synchronizes with my fingerprint on my device. I enjoy the rapid and easy, seamless process to apply for loans through the Belize Bank, and I don't have to be having too much back and forth to visit or take time to visit the bank. They also start to offer the online applications through the app for loan applications, which I believe is very neat. I would definitely recommend Belize Bank to other teachers because one of all the features and advantages that the app offer, with these online that Belize Bank offered, is basically everything that you can do in the palm of your hand. So I would definitely recommend the bank to other teachers.
Oh man, one more scroll and my data is done.
Wait, who said anything about running out? Smart just dropped a more powerful plan that now includes social media data so you can scroll till your fingers cramp.
Enjoy free social media data now included in our Flex Choice and Select postpaid plans.
Visit any Smart showroom to sign up today because connectivity just got even better. Smart, bringing people together.
Hi there. Are you on your phone right now, scrolling on social media, listening to the radio, or watching TV? Have you ever stopped to think, what's powering my device right now? You see, electricity is essential for everyday life, powering our homes, businesses, transportation, and of course, that one binge-worthy series that you just can't stop watching. But how does it all work? This season on the What's and Why's of Energy, we're taking you behind the scenes, bringing you the latest updates and answers to your biggest energy questions. My name is Emmanuel Petch, and I invite you to join us as we go live on Facebook and get ready to see energy in a whole new light. Like, share, and follow us to be part of the conversation.
Belize Electricity Limited, providing you safe and reliable power when you need it.
Welcome back to Open Your Eyes. We are jumping into our second conversation, and it's all about a book festival that is set to take place in Belmopan called Tech Time for Read Festival. We are joined this morning by three representatives of this nonprofit. They're joined virtually. We have here with us Kaylee Whitty, she's a project coordinator, also Kaylin Escalante, another project coordinator, and Zaria Obi, also another project coordinator. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us and welcome.
Good morning.
Hi, thank you for having us.
So, Tech Time for Read book. Now, this is a nonprofit organization that you ladies came up with, you're a part of, and of course, as the name suggests, it's encouraging people to read books. Let's begin with your love of reading in the first place and what prompted the formation of this nonprofit. We can begin with you, Kaylee.
Okay, no problem. So the book festival, well, the idea of Tech Time for Read on a whole came about where we received a large amount of books from another organization in the States. And we were just wondering, it was from a youth group, the Belmopan Youth Spiritual Empowerment Program.
Okay.
And we were at our youth group meeting just trying to decide, okay, what can we do with these books? And a bunch of us brainstormed, and then we finally said, okay, we came up with the idea of having a book festival, and that has been one of our main events. It slowed because of COVID, but we're back on track. We had one last year, we're having this one this year. And, you know, it's something to look forward to, a place where kids can have access to a wide range of books and have fun, play games and stuff like that.
Yeah. We are in an era where we're seeing the numbers of readers decrease. We're in the age of technology where these kids these days, they want iPods, they want tablets. They don't even want to go out and play, Kaylee. How do you encourage young people, youth, to pick up a book and read?
So one of the things that we do, and our motto is, you know, making reading fun.
Yeah.
So we try to find activities to engage the kids because kids love to play. And at the end of the day, that's what they do, right? So we have a bunch of games to engage them. They play these games, they win the points, and they get to choose their book. So that power of choice, rather than just, you know, you forcing a child to go to the library and just picking a book for them, they have the ability to go and say, Mom, I love trains, let's find a book about trains. And we give that to them. So it's an empowerment for the kids and also a safe place for them to be free and be tablet free as well.
Do you find that with this particular initiative, kids are drawn to picking up these books and perhaps taking them home to read?
Yeah, we have quite a few kids who come in who are basically regulars at this point. They come in every time we have an event, and they're so excited to get the books, and it's so fun to see that they're enjoying reading. And then kids, like during the events, because we always make sure that we have games at the events, because like Kaylee said, we encourage a love for reading through making reading fun. So we always have all the kids playing games, and they choose specifically what books. And sometimes you even have some kids who are like, no, I want that book, give me that book. So it's fun to see them all enjoying the books and reading.
Talk about the importance of reading in the first place, the development that comes with that, literacy. Perhaps we can get Kaylin in the conversation, speak to the need for us to develop ourselves with reading.
Yeah, so reading does a lot for us, like in terms of talking and how we write. Like that's very important that we read, because it like opens our imagination, and it allows us to go into different places and have new ideas in order to write and speak better.
Mm-hmm. You know, I think of myself as a youth. Many years ago, one of the programs that I enjoyed watching as a child was Reading Rainbow.
Yeah.
And that also encouraged my love of reading as well.
LeVar Burton.
Yeah, I could think of the theme song right now, you know, Butterfly in the Sky. and just the idea that aside from developing yourself in speech and writing, as you perfectly mentioned, Kayleen, it's the imagination that comes out of it as well. The things that you could think of because of being immersed in an entirely different world on paper. That's what these kids are getting exposed to as well, and I think that that is so important for their own development as well. Isani, I see you smiling.
Yeah, no, I'm smiling because reading, as much as we use this cliche that it's fundamental, it allows you to use your imagination. And when you read and you imagine, you're able to envision certain things, right? And to the point that you're mentioning earlier, and perhaps I could get some feedback from our guests as well, but to the point that you were mentioning earlier, I don't know that the younger generation is as drawn to reading as we are, because for the better part, we did not grow up with a tablet or any other device that distracts us from picking up something that's committed in writing, right? And so my question to you guys is, how challenging is it when you look at the options that kids have these days, or the alternatives that they have that are different from the printed word, that are different from material that one can sit down and read and learn from? How challenging is it to present books to them, to present the idea of reading and imagining and using your creativity that way?
You know, you're right in that we have seen a decrease in the engagement in literacy. However, we've also found it in a lot of different places that are inspiring. And one of the good things about this project is that it's youth-led for youth. So we have our project is by young people from our youth groups and other volunteers. And for this book festival specifically, we have about 45 plus volunteers, guys, that are engaging and are working, and of all ages. So to try to combat that, that's what we use, the power of influence and just encouraging. And we have other smaller projects under Tech Time for Read, for example, Books for Babies, where we get books and pamphlets about why it's important to read, and we give it to the maternity ward and they distribute it to the new mothers. Yeah, so stuff like that is what we try to do and what we work with to mitigate that issue.
What are the age ranges that will be able to acquire these books at this festival?
We do ages from 0, so it's babies, up to ages 18.
Okay.
And this year we're offering adult books, so we're like broadening our like age range. But the majority is children. That's what we focus on.
So it's going to be a festival in Belmopan, and there's an invite for an entire family, for the entire family to come out and check out books for themselves. Talk about what people can see when they go there, and of course, if there's anything that will be on purchase and available for persons interested. We can get either of you ladies, yeah.
Yeah, we could start with the date. So it'll be this Saturday, August 9th. And it'll be from 9. We'll be there from 9 to 4 at the Civic Center. And the event will be going on. And people can come in. And we're going to have different place stations. So kids will come in. The main focus is for the kids. So anyone 18 and below can come in and they'll get a little card. And that they could use that card to go around and play all the games that we'll have. And you could play up to 9 games. And we're going to be giving each person 10 free books. So each person under the age of 18 can receive 10 free books. And then we're going to also have the adult section, so they can get their books through, they could select their books and leave a donation, and they could take those books. We also have a few books on sale for purchase, and we're going to have a section. So last year we had a comic section, and we didn't sell the books because we wanted it to be more of a community kind of section. But this year we had a lot of requests for the sales of the comics, so we decided to sell. So those will be on sale. We have stickers on sale about reading. We have bags on sale. So that's.
So
do you have anything?
I have a question. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to jump in and also mention, Zara mentioned the reusable bags. So we want to make this an eco-friendly space. So we have reusable bags. We encourage the use of reusable material. We have recyclable cutlery as well, because we're also going to have food for sale. So to our guests, just keep that in mind.
So my question for you ladies, I take it that you're book lovers and avid readers as well. What's one of your favorite books or one of your favorite authors in terms of the type of books that you read? Anyone, you can go first.
One of the most eye-opening books for me, I think I read it a little too young because I was sad for a couple of days, but it's called The Secret Life of Bees. And I'm not sure, there's a Lifetime movie somewhere about it, but it's about, back in the days of segregation and witnessing humanity and just empathy with people of all races. So that was a pretty significant part of my childhood.
Any of your other ladies?
I can't bring up a specific book per se, but I do read a lot about mostly history and like similar to what Kaylee had mentioned, like books about race and ethnicity and a lot about immigration and how people have to move from their countries and stuff like that. And I think I got that from my grandma. She likes to read books about that. So every time I find one, I'm like, oh, we could read this together. So I'll read it and then I'll lend her, or she'll read one and lend me. So it's a really nice bonding activity for us.
All right. Well, ladies, this has been a wonderful conversation. Again, we want to remind our viewers of the date and time of the Tech Time for Read Books Festival. Again, it's set to take place in Belmopan at the Civic Center. The date again once more? August 9th?
August 9th.
9 a.m. to 4 p.m. And this is an open invite for everyone, but of course free books will be available for persons ages 18 and under, and you can also walk away with up to 10 free books as well. Thank you guys so much for taking this initiative into your own hands and encouraging people to read all over the country. We really appreciate it.
Thank you as well for having us.
Alrighty, we will be taking another quick break, but don't go anywhere. When we come back, we have more conversation to look forward to, including that poll question that was up. We've been seeing a lot of engagement, so we'll be talking about that as well very soon. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
This is where blue innovation meets green ambition and orange creativity thrives. Join us for the Belize Investment Summit 2025. September 3rd to 5th at the Sunset Caribe in San Pedro. This is the future of regional integration, and it starts here. Whether you're returning home, expanding regionally, or entering new markets, Belize welcomes you. Why Belize? Why now? Belize Investment Summit 2025. Bridging markets, building resilience. September 3rd to 5th, Sunset Caribe, San Pedro. Visit investmentsummit.bz to register and be part of shaping the investment frontier.
To earn V-Bucks, you must make purchases at any Benny's locations or its entities near you. The more you spend, the more you earn. You also get double the V-Bucks on promotional days. Multiple purchases completed in a single day cannot be combined and will be considered separately. Benny's is committed to offering you competitive prices on all your purchases. Now value is added with V-Bucks. To learn more, visit our website at www.vbucks.bz. Remember, loyalty is always rewarding with V-Bucks. Brought to you by Benny's. Quality and savings.
Oh man, one more scroll and my data is done.
Wait, who said anything about running out? Smart just dropped a more powerful plan that now includes social media data so you can scroll till your fingers cramp.
Enjoy free social media data now included in our Flex Choice and Select postpaid plans.
Visit any Smart showroom to sign up today because connectivity just got even better. Smart, bringing people together.
Where you'll find premium quality products from trusted brands, all in one place. Visit us today for quality products, expert service, and the brands you trust. Design Depot, all in one place.
And this next conversation will be a treat to you aspiring entrepreneurs and business owners. We have here with us Joshua Laureano. He's 18 years old and he is the CEO and founder of Compass Ride Sharing Service. Joshua, it's such a pleasure to have you here this morning.
Yeah, thank you.
I will tell you, just a few minutes of conversing with you has been such a delight. You are so inspiring, the way that you've been able to share your innovation to provide this type of service. Before we get into what Compass Ride Sharing Service is, talk about your journey as an entrepreneur and how you got to this point in the first place.
Well,
you started, now I want you guys to know he's only nervous. He is a talker. But you've been able to come up with a business called Compass Ride Sharing.
Yes,
you already hired a driver and everything.
Yes.
What is Compass Ride Sharing?
It's a transportation service. It's on the card. We offer safe, affordable, and reliable 24/7 transportation.
Mm-hmm.
A little background about me is I graduated Boise College in 2024. I also founded the main concept of the company in December of 2024 at 17. I have a mentor, and I didn't talk to her about the concept until like February 2025, and she loved it. The only thing I had to change was the name, because it was first called Carib Go, and then it was called Quick Stop. But the mission and the vision statement, she loved it.
Yeah.
So I just had to change the name. So she gave me a bunch of different names that I had to choose from, and Compass came up, and I liked Compass, and the reason why I like Compass is because, like, what's the purpose of a compass?
Yeah.
The purpose of a compass is to get you to and to get you from point A to point B. And I decided to use that name under economic problem solving businesses. So I will use that name under any economic problem solving businesses. So this branch of Compass is a Compass ride sharing service. So I already said what we do, and
so ride sharing, is it kind of like what we know in the United States would be like an Uber?
I guess you can say something similar to that.
Okay.
Similar, but
So explain to us so we can understand what exactly this service is, and the concept of ride sharing, what that is.
Okay. So I'm nervous.
You're good.
I'm nervous.
So Compass ride sharing, you've been able to put together this concept since last year. You said you have a mentor who also guided you through the process. You even kind of changed some of the names, but that's beside the point, as long as the main focus and the main idea remained in place.
So, like taxi service, it's only available during the day. And people also places that they want to go at night as well. So I've developed a system whereby, you know, people can, ride sharing can also be available at night, hence the reason why it's 24/7. And for like drivers and riders, because the company doesn't own any vehicles. So what we do is that we hire drivers, but when we're hiring, it's not something that's just signing up. Okay, we have to do background checks. We look for stuff like murder, human trafficking, sexual assault, especially with children, stalk and threaten others. And we also make sure you have a valid driver's license, and we also make sure that the vehicle is in good condition.
Okay.
And drivers are paid 70% commission, the company keeps 30%.
So essentially, when you book a ride through Compass ride sharing service, one, you're able to have a guarantee ride to get home during the nighttime, where sometimes these taxi drivers wouldn't be available, and two, safety. And that's a big concern for a lot of people, especially women. Talk about that and how you were able to recognize that that was a need in the first place.
Well, okay, so December of 24, I got the concept and it's on my computer. But I didn't really look at it until like there was a day, like I go to IT vet, and there was a day I was going to school and it was raining. And I had to stand in like Civic Center under the bus station, and I noticed like people have to stand in the rain to catch their bus. If they don't catch their bus, then they won't get where they need to go. So that really reflects on the concept I've made, and that's what pushed me to ask my mentor about it.
How do you go about booking a ride with Compass ride sharing?
So because we're a startup company, we do electronic transfer. You have to send us a message in WhatsApp, book, and pay electronically.
Okay.
It's that simple.
And do the services, or are the services around the same price as a regular taxi?
No, it's not, because we have to set a price that's not only affordable for riders, but when the company and the driver do their 70-30 split, like the numbers are like matched, I would say. So from 5 a.m. to 9:59 p.m., one single rider is $15.
Okay.
And from 10 p.m. all the way to 4 a.m., a single ride is $20, and that's for a single rider. So let's say a person wants to book a ride. They'll send us a message via WhatsApp. They'll send us their pickup and dropped off location as well as a passport size picture of their face. They'll pay us electronically, and once payment is confirmed, we'll send them a passport size picture of the driver that's available, as well as the picture of the vehicle that they're in, so they know who is picking them up.
This is very similar to like I said, other businesses and ideas that came out in other parts of the world, and I think it's very innovative what you've come up with as well, because we want to know, one, the type of vehicle that we're going to be getting in. They have some people who, you know, for example, when we think of businesses like Uber, you want to get in an Uber Black, you know, you want a quality type vehicle, but you also want to know what's coming to pick you up, just in case it's not another person trying to kidnap you or harass you, and you want to know who's going to be picking you up as well.
Okay.
I think it's interesting that you also provide that feature where the person booking the service also provides their photo. Is there a reason for that?
Yeah, so that the drivers know who they're picking up.
Well, let's talk about when this service will be rolled out and how people can start taking advantage of safer and more convenient services.
Okay, so the company was, like I said, it was registered in March 14, 2025. And what we do is that we start looking for drivers. And what I've learned is like the taxi is kind of like a madhouse. Like there's no rules, regulations, guidelines, no nothing. So everyone's free to do like basically what they want. And I think that, how do you say, being that there's a new company in town that has rules and guidelines, like it's definitely like something to look at. Whoa.
I think there's an element of structure that's also being provided with your company as well, which is really interesting. But I want to wind down the conversation by talking about you and your journey in entrepreneurship. You're only 18 years old, and you're an entrepreneur. This is a very bold step to take. How challenging was it? I mean, you came here and you said, look, I have my business certificate. He brought all of that to showcase, but was this a really tough venture to go into?
Yes, it was.
How so?
I have I've been through a lot of things. I had to sacrifice a lot of things since I was 16. And, you know, like when you have a goal, just stick to the goal. You sacrifice for that goal. Did I like a picture of being up here? No. And the reason why I came up here is because when we start looking for drivers, people are like kind of, I would say, like iffy about it, because like I would provide the certificate and the business card, and I'll also tell them that when you want to join, there's a contract, and the contract will both signed by the business owner, the driver, as well as stamped by a justice of the peace as witness, as you can see on that specific contract. And they still like, I think it's because I'm 18.
You think because you're young?
Yeah, but it's not like expected. It's to elaborate a little bit more on the drivers, drivers do have control of their work time. We like if you join our company, you can also accept and decline giving like rides, but that's why you're only being paid based on commission if you accept and complete that ride.
All right, well, how can potential drivers or interested drivers reach out to you to get on board?
Well, you just have to contact me on WhatsApp. It's on the card. My WhatsApp number is 620-2379. That's the company's number. And if you're like qualified, you'll have to bring, a passport size picture of you, a passport size picture of the vehicle, a copy of your police record, a copy of your driver's license, and a copy of your social security card. All of that would be stapled to the document. It'll also be stamped by the justice of the peace saying it's the official copy, because that's what we did with our very first driver. And yeah.
All right. So you have a driver already?
Yes, we do. And we're actually working on getting more, because like I said, we're not in charge of any damage that pertains to the vehicle. So if your vehicle is down, well, you're still a driver. It's just that you're basically like unavailable. And our job is to find drivers for our clients, our riders. That's what we do.
All right. So you have a driver already, so I imagine persons can already start booking services through Compass Ride Sharing.
Yes.
If they would like to book a ride starting during the daytime as well as nighttime, they can contact through the same number that you provided, 620-2379.
On WhatsApp, yes.
On WhatsApp.
Yeah.
Joshua, this has been a pleasure. Thank you so much for speaking with me and, of course, our viewers, and sharing a bit of your story as an entrepreneur as well. We wish you all the best.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
All right. We take another quick break, but don't go anywhere. When we come back, we have a hot topic to jump into. And as I mentioned, I saw some of your engagement online speaking about that 30% or more on rent payment. When we come back, we'll be talking about that. Don't go anywhere.
Yo, what's up, bro? Just Western Union moms a little money using DigiWallet. Uncle in the States paid me too, same app using DigiWallet. Bro, this is too easy. I can do this from anywhere. No lines, no hassle, just easy. All right, gotta run, bro. Take it easy.
Unwrap the joy of crystal clear picture and sound from Aiwa, the brand that offers you affordability and exceptional quality. Aiwa has a wide range of exceptional products to choose from, such as TVs, speakers, headphones, home appliances, and much more at affordable prices that won't break the bank. Enhance your audio-visual entertainment experience with Aiwa, and for your convenience, parts are readily available in country for hassle-free maintenance. You can find Aiwa products at your local electronics store countrywide. Choose Aiwa, the best in home entertainment and household appliances.
Shop smart for your Samsung devices in Belize and enjoy benefits you won't get anywhere else. When you shop locally for your Samsung, all your devices will be covered by a 1-year local warranty. You won't get that when shopping with the other guys. When in doubt, always look for the Cellular World seal to know you're getting the real deal. Shop with confidence and enjoy your Galaxy knowing that it can be repaired locally at our Samsung Service Center by certified Samsung technicians using original parts and machinery. Even better, enjoy the best LTE experience in Belize, knowing that your Samsung devices are compatible with major local carrier networks. Get the ultimate Samsung Galaxy experience only when you shop from authorized Samsung resellers nationwide.
My name is Leomar Langzert and I'm a teacher and I bank with Belize Bank Independence Branch. What I enjoy is the safety features that the app offers. I have a sense of not having to worry or be concerned about somebody finding my password and username to sign in the application because of the use of the one-time password. And another feature that I love, that I use the most, is how the app synchronizes with my fingerprint on my device. I enjoy the rapid and easy, seamless process to apply for loans through the Belize Bank, and I don't have to be having too much back and forth to visit or take time to visit the bank. They also start to offer the online applications through the app, for loan applications, which I believe is very neat. I would definitely recommend Belize Bank to other teachers because one of all the features and advantages that the app offer, with these online that Belize Bank offered, is basically everything that you can do in the palm of your hand. So I would definitely recommend the bank to other teachers.
Welcome back to Open Your Eyes. We are winding down, but we have still quite a hot button topic to jump into, Isani.
Yes.
And this is one of them I think will never not be relevant. People need somewhere to stay, and people rent. And so we put out a poll this morning, and the question was, as I mentioned, let me find that question really quickly. Is your rent more than 30% of your monthly income? Now, I know this may range from person to person because you may be making a certain amount of money, but we saw a resounding yes, way more. Persons are saying that they are paying more than 30% of their income on rent. Now, wherever you're renting across the country, whether you live here in Belize City or in another district, this is a conversation I think, as I mentioned, will always be relevant because people need somewhere to stay. And so with that, I think there's a lot of other conversations coming around that. I think, Isani, if I'm not mistaken, we've also we've talked about this before, rent as well, and if regulations could be in place when it comes to rent and prices for rent as well.
This is a conversation that is quite literally near to me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't rent, fortunately. But when I saw this poll question and I saw some of the responses that have been elicited from the question itself, it reminds me of a situation that is literally next door to me, right? Where I have an overgrown property next door and the landlord or the property owner has over time invested very little in the upkeep of the property itself, structural and otherwise. And so one day I asked the tenant, when are you going to chop your yard, right? Because it's overgrown, as I mentioned.
Yeah.
And so her response to me was, the landlord doesn't want me to chop the yard. It's a responsibility he has committed to taking on. And then she goes to, well, he's charging me $700 rent. And I was floored when I heard it. Because when I look at what's there, when I look at, it does, in my mind, it doesn't add up.
Yeah.
But the moral of it for me is that you find that in a lot of places, in a lot of communities, at least in Belize City, you have property owners who, in my opinion, are fleecing the tenants. Because as you rightly mentioned earlier, everyone needs somewhere to stay. And if we're looking at Belize City as the commercial or economic hub, a majority of the jobs are centered here in Belize City. So you have people coming in from various parts of the country. You have people moving out from their homes here in Belize City, moving out on their own. And they're subjected to these very rough situations or conditions. And they look at their monthly income against the demand for an apartment space or a 2-bedroom home or what have you. And it really doesn't add up.
Yeah.
Again, that's my humble opinion based on what I've seen, and I'm using my next door situation as my case, a real life example of what I believe people are trying to get a one-up on rent because there's this need for people to live in Belize City.
So let's try to dissect it, simply because we have a bit of time. And I love one of the first things you pointed out was location.
Yeah.
We tend to see exorbitant prices in rent based on location with no real amenity inside, real local shock. But you're paying $600, $700, even $900, $1,000 for somewhere in the north side of the city, but really nothing that you would want to live in, nothing dignified at least.
Yeah.
How do we go about navigating that, Hisani, when it comes to, I hear the feedback from people, especially online posting, and in this case in the comment section, saying that that's not a worthwhile exchange just to say that I live in Kings Park, but I'm not even living in something worthy enough to turn around.
It's almost predatory if you ask me, right? Where you have a situation where, take for instance, a young person who lands his or her first job and, want to be independent and move out on his or her own and try to establish life. So, for all intents and purposes, you're working at a call center, entry-level job. This is just an example or an illustration, right? So you're working at a call center, you're earning your first paycheck, so to speak. And now you have the challenge of feeding yourself, furnishing that space, right? And whatever other bills that come along with your employment. Maybe you're paying off a student loan or what have you. And then the space that you're renting is perhaps in excess of the 30% that we're talking about here, right? Two things come to mind. Young people always want to keep up with the Joneses.
We spoke about that yesterday.
That's one.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody want to look good and make believe or what have you. So that's on one hand. The other hand, it's not really sustainable. Because at what point do you say, you know what? Instead of me paying this exorbitant rent, perhaps I should take on a mortgage and pay to own eventually, right? But that comes with a sense of maturity too, right? You have to be able to reach a certain mental space
to be able to take on that type of...
This is the decision that I need to make right now. And instead of make the man richer, easier, I pay this money to the bank or the credit union, and then after 20 years or whatever, it's mine if you're faithful to making your payments on time.
But that's the thing, because it requires a level of financial literacy and even intelligence even, because there's a lot of people
I saw it up as maturity.
Yeah, who are not willing to take on that type of long-term investment and not even as stable enough as well. I love that you also pointed out persons who are kind of boarding together, because what we're also seeing lately is a lot of people sharing apartments because it's cheaper versus getting somewhere on your own. And that's an option, but also you have to consider if you're comfortable enough to live with an individual and the challenges that comes with that, them carrying their own weight when it comes to paying utilities, paying bills, and keeping the place clean,
That's how a young people think, though.
I don't know.
I hate to break it down into Creole like that, but that's how a young people think.
No, say it in Creole. Say it the way it is.
I think the older you become, the more you value private space, the more you value perhaps establishing and building your own family and what have you. So having a roommate or that type of thing, and I'm saying that because for me that was like college life. that was experience in college.
I love that you say
fine.
that, but that's well, how do you say then to a person who's in their 30s and they can't afford to live on their own?
I don't know if can't is, I don't know how to respond to the can't part.
They can't afford the rent, so they have to get a roommate.
Again, I don't know about the can't part. I would be speaking out of turn if I'm to say yes or no on that, right? But here's the thing. So while there's a financial or an economic reality, you have to ensure that you're not also hanging the hat well above your head.
Very true.
Right? So not everyone will be making a cushy salary out the bat. But at the same time, go back to what I'm saying. A lot of times young people want to keep up with the Joneses and put on this image that they're also up there, right? Once you're able to live within your means and budget within your means and what have you, yes, you might have the most ideal space, but it fits within what you can afford.
Yeah.
And then with your own ambitions and your determination or drive, you move towards being able to improve on your situation.
I think I represent that population of commuters who, I mean, that's a sacrifice on its own. But I will tell you, one of the greatest greatest privilege I think I have is to not experience the rental crisis here in the city.
Yeah.
But I think the trade-off is the commuting, which comes with its own
expense.
Own expenses.
Own inconveniences.
Own inconveniences. I wake up at the crack of dawn every morning to get here on time. But I also don't experience that type of challenge where people have to pay an insane amount of money.
But if I'm to look at your situation, Sab, peace of mind is invaluable.
Say it again,
There's no dollar amount you can put on that. So if you're commuting into the city only for the purpose of work or what have you, when you retreat to your home, you have that peace and quiet to yourself in a rural community that, you know, a lot of us here in Belize City would trade life and limb for, perhaps, right?
So yesterday we had such an interesting conversation. We were speaking about preparing for retirement, but with Dr. Carol Babb and a representative from her nonprofit Peacework, Belize. But I think what was so interesting about that was beyond preparing for retirement, there came that point where we had to discuss how do we prepare to live in this economy with the wages that we're making in general. And so we took a basic paycheck, a basic salary of, they're about $2,300, $2,400. And we looked at what persons are paying for rent. I still think that is, and that I believe is after taxes are deducted. But for the average person paying rent of $1,000, you could barely eat, you know? And one of the points that came out of the discussion from Dr. Babb was, okay, you might have to adjust your spending somewhere. And I think you also pointed to that. You know, you're budgeting. You have to find ways to cut back because oftentimes we don't even realize there are small little things that add up to overall bigger spending. Let's speak about that, Isani. How we go about budgeting for the income that we have, especially if you're a person that takes 30% out of that for rent. How do you go about stretching your dollar in this economy?
That's an excellent question. I don't know how fit I am to answer that.
You know stretch your dollar, Isani? He's not the person to talk to.
No. If I'm to be honest with you and our viewers, you know, financial literacy and budgeting has been something that I've seen in my home growing up as a child with my parents, you know, making the best of what their combined income would have been able to afford. But in a sense, because I'm thinking, okay, well, that's what my parents do at the end of the month, because they were both educators, and so it's one time for the month that they get paid, so they have to be able to plan out everything, right? But I wasn't really looking at it that carefully, because as a child growing up, you know, that's not really my concern. So the idea of budgeting and financial literacy escaped me then. It wasn't until I have my own family and I have like serious expenses, then I started to realize, okay, you know what? One, I have to be able to earn a certain amount and then be able to budget that efficiently and effectively, so that not only am I getting away with getting paid twice a month as opposed to my parents who are only getting paid once a month, right?
Which is even harder. To budget,
that's what I'm getting at. It's all the more difficult for teachers, for instance, or persons who only get paid at the end of the month to be able to budget everything all the way through to the next month. In our case, being paid twice a month at least gives us that leeway to be able to catch up back, in a manner of speaking, right? But yeah, long story short, I'm simply saying that for some of us from this generation, it may have escaped us, right? For the younger generation, financial literacy is one of the buzzwords. If you're paying attention, people are talking about things like self-care and financial literacy and stuff. So if you're in tune with that, then I believe that that's where it begins from. Being able to accept the fact that not all of us are millionaires. So we have to be able to set aside enough for rent. We have to be able to set aside enough for our expenses and our lifestyle as well. Right? A lot of times we get things kind of jumbled up in the mix, right?
And going back to the conversation of rent, I want to, you know, afford us an opportunity to speak to both sides, because we're speaking of the challenges people face with paying these high prices in renting. But landlords and these owners would tell you, hey, I have to invest a lot of money, and when there are any fixture issues, I have to come and pull that from my pocket. I have to ensure that it's up to par in a state that it's prepared for natural disasters. And so could that be a reason why we're seeing a spike in rent? People are saying rent is going up and the wages aren't.
Yes, Sab. I think for me it boils down to value for money, right? I believe it would have been last year. It did not necessarily hit the news, but it was all over social media, where someone advertised a beautiful apartment, right? And it piqued the interest of someone who wanted to rent this apartment. That individual never really went and toured the property before making a deposit.
I remember that.
The person made a security deposit,
yes,
right, up front. And then when he or she got to their location and saw what they were actually getting, night and day, and that person felt cheated. The person said, well, they hit me with false advertisement. Well, it wasn't only their fault, as in the person who was advertising falsely, sorry. It was your lack of initiative to go and actually see the place before you agree to spending any kind of money on it. The point that I'm making here goes back to value for money. You can't tell me that you want $800 a month for a space that isn't worth it, right? So I'm going to take that 30% of my salary and pay that $800, and I know that what I'm getting is not, something that I'm comfortable with. And a lot of times you find people who get duped in that kind of way, right? And so if you look around, everybody has an apartment that they're renting to somebody, because that's the next real estate boom that's taking place, right? Especially in Belize City. Everybody has apartments for rent. But when you look at it, are you really being able to get the value for the money that you're spending? When you look at it, even if you're getting the value for the money you're spending, how does it impact your life or your quality of life or whatever? Because what is it to have the fanciest apartment, but to eat, you barely to meet other expenses and what have you?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So is this something, though, that we can see the government intervene on when it comes to regulation for prices on rent?
Yeah, and that's a good question too, because I haven't heard of any kind of regulations where rent is concerned, right? In the United States, because they do zoning and all of these other things, they are able to get a handle on, property value and what have you. Here, we still operate like Wild West. You call your shot, and if you're interested and you have the money, well, here we go.
Yeah.
Right?
So who's willing to pay for it at this point? Yeah. All right. Well, this is something I definitely, as I started by saying, I think it's going to be one of those conversations that we'll just be having repeatedly. At this point, I think when it comes to renting, know your budget. And even with the figure that we spoke of being 30%, try to actually match it to that 30% or under if you can possibly do that. We also highlighted some other options where people
look around. That's one of the most important things, right? Finding something, or the first thing that you see, or the first property in this case that you see, may not be the end all be all, right? Shop around, look at neighborhoods, look at certain key elements like security and what have you. Then you arrive at a decision. It can't be that, oh, I like the fact that they got a walk-in closet and then that's the sell for you.
Yeah, or have AC.
Or have AC or what have you.
And
look
also,
at the big picture.
One of my questions to you guys as well is, what's stopping you from making that investment of getting a mortgage if you're already spending $1,000+ in rent?
That's what I'm saying.
That's
what I'm saying.
And that was a question that was posed by Dr. Carol Baba as well yesterday. She did mention, hey, you don't have to get one of those big mortgages where you're paying over $1,000. You can start small and grow it from there as well. And so regardless of the income that you're making, and I get it, there are persons who are making minimum wage. And so for people like that, maybe you might have to try to find another route. But if you are able to spend $1,000 plus on rent, I think you should be looking and exploring the idea of a mortgage.
I'll end with this, and I hope I'm not on my soapbox this morning, but priorities, right? So you have a rent that's heavy, and then you're also paying for a vehicle because then you want to show the world that your first job, I got a nice little vehicle and what have you. So what is the most important in all of it for you, right? Your basic needs. You have to eat, you have to shelter, you have to clothe yourself and what have you. And I get it, you need to be able to transport yourself and what have you. But you have to have a specific list of important responsibilities, right?
Yeah.
And paying a steep car note or a loan for a vehicle against, paying a rent, you combine those together, what do you really own? Because at the end of the day, the value of the vehicle decreases the moment you drive off that lot, and many of us cannot afford a brand new vehicle straight from the dealership. So we're paying for a pre-owned vehicle, right, that we can't sell back for the same value that we purchased it for. So that's an investment that is going down immediately. Then on the rent side, you're enriching the tenant.
Yeah.
Right? So
what
are you really walking away with at the end of it all?
Yeah.
I think it's a valid question for anyone to ask themselves in that situation.
All right. Well, the conversation continues beyond this point, and so definitely get talking with your friends, your family, even your colleagues where rent is concerned. Do you believe that your income is able to even afford rent in the first place? Are you still living with your parents because that seems to be the more affordable and financially smart decision to make? And of course, if you're able to even share some of that thoughts with us, we want to know as well. We do have to wrap up this conversation though, and by doing so, we want to say thank you to everyone who joined us this morning. Quite an engaging Wednesday morning, Isani, but also thank you to you guys for tuning in with us this morning as well. It is August 6th, and if you're celebrating a birthday today, happy birthday to ya. If you'd like to give a birthday shout out, or if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can send us an email at oye@channel5belize.com. Before we move on, Isani, are there any hot stories we are currently following at this time?
Yes, but I don't want to put the cat out the bag.
All right, no cats out the bag. Well, you might be seeing that cat for our 12 o'clock newscast as well, news at noon, and of course later on at 6 p.m. for our nightly news.
Yes.
You can catch us on Facebook as well, that's Open Your Eyes BZ, as well as Instagram for behind the scenes contents, that's OIE Belize. But again, please do us a favor and join us again tomorrow when you open your eyes.
To start your morning right.
Until then, keep your eyes, your mind,
and your hearts open.
Have a wonderful Wednesday, Belize. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.
Open Your Eyes was brought to you by the Belize Bank, our country, your bank, and Smart, bringing people together.